Thank you for staying on News Desk. Let's take you now to the Ministry of Information, where there is some briefing on transition updates.
The End of Service Committee is under the chairmanship of Honorable Ken Oforiatta. The Subcommittee on Energy and Natural Resources is under the chairmanship of Honorable Dominic Nitiwul. The Subcommittee on Legal and Governance is under the chairmanship of Honorable Gloria Ekufu. The Subcommittee on Infrastructure is under the chairmanship of Honorable Ambrose Derry. The Subcommittee on Interior and Public Safety is under the chairmanship of Honorable Kandapa, and the Social Sector Subcommittee is under the chairmanship of Honorable Hajia Alima Mahama. Embargo on new contracts, MOU, and appointments during the transition period. As part of efforts to ensure a seamless transition process, government has decided against entering into new contractual obligation of financial nature during the transition period. These include signing of contracts for goods and services exceeding 2 million cedis, signing of contracts for works exceeding 5 million cedis, signing of any loan agreements, and appointments of new management personnel. The Honorable Chief of the 2020 Presidential Transition Team has already notified all ministers, deputy ministers, chief officers of state-owned enterprises, boards and councils of public agencies, and chief executives of metropolitan, municipal, and district chief from entering into any of the above stated contractual obligations. Should a critical need, however, arise, the express approval of the Office of the President shall be sought and obtained in writing before the execution. President to be sworn in Parliament in the precinct. President to be sworn in the precinct of Parliament before Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, recall that on the 3rd day of November 2020, when His Excellency President Akufo-Addo commissioned the office facilities under the physical infrastructure projects of Parliament in Parliament House, Accra, Parliament made a passionate representation to him and the nation at large that they wanted subsequent swearing in of presidents of the Republic to happen in Parliament and before Parliament in accordance with Ghanaian laws and international best practices. Please take a listen to the Leader of the House, Honorable Osei Mensah-Bonsu.
Is the matter in respect of the swearing in of presidents-elect. Members of Parliament are united in the principle that an elected president must be sworn in the presence of Parliament, before Parliament, and indeed in Parliament, as the Honorable J.H. Mensah boldly articulated. The Ghanaian electorate always want to be part of and indeed own the process and procedures of the swearing in of our presidents-elect. The space afforded by the small chamber of Parliament makes it difficult to hold the event in the plenary of Parliament, which is why, conveniently, Parliament elects to sit at the Independence Square on such occasions. On that 7th day of January, the election of the Speaker and Deputy Speakers and the swearing in of members of Parliament have to be concluded before Parliament would relocate to the Independence Square to have the President-elect sworn in before the relocated House of Parliament. It is hard to relate that oftentimes, before the sitting is suspended for the House to reconvene at the Independence Square, the public would have generally taken over the sitting of the relocated Parliament. In the event, Parliament, the members are dislodged from what is supposed to be their own house. Members of Parliament, especially those from the party that might have lost the elections, are subjected to vile and vitriolic language in their own house. And Mr. President, sometimes all manner of animals, some of them dressed in party paraphernalia, are paraded in the relocated Parliament. Not surprisingly, most of the members of Parliament who belong to the party that lose out in the presidential and general elections elect not to be part or participate in the proceedings that lead to the swearing in of the president. Mr. President, as you agree with us, that cannot be good practice. It's not good practice, and accordingly, the House has decided that the president-elect must from hence, subject to security considerations, be sworn in the presence of Parliament, before Parliament, and in Parliament. Consequently, Mr. President, the Parliament of Ghana is proposing that the swearing in of the president-elect should be done in the present presence of Parliament, as happened during the first inauguration of President John Agyekum Kufuor. Mr. President, this is our humble request, and once it meets your agreement, the necessary triggers shall be pulled to get the place ready for the event on January 7th, 2021.
Thank you very much. And recall that this was at the commissioning of the office facilities under the physical infrastructure projects of Parliament in Parliament House in Accra on the 3rd of November 2020. The transition team has favorably considered the request of the Parliament of Ghana as stated by Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu, and has hence decided that the swearing of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on the 7th of January 2021 shall happen before Parliament and within the precincts of Parliament. The inauguration subcommittee of the 2020 Presidential Transition Team is therefore working with Parliament to ensure a successful and COVID-compliant inauguration. Thank you. So, colleagues, if there are any questions, these were the three main issues on which we were briefed today: the swearing in of His Excellency the President and the President-elect before Parliament and within the precincts of Parliament, the ban that has been announced on contractual obligations, and an update on the workings of the 2020 Presidential Transition Team and its subcommittees. We will take questions now. If you introduce yourself and ask your question, we'll be obliged to respond.
Good morning, Honorable. Midinde Akokoraba, Miyajuma Kasapa FM. And now transition team Asia Yano. Aye Alaji Yakubu Acholu MATS I have original coordinating council and the Upper East Regional Coordinating Council. And young for one more handing over notes and by maybe Sasa Sankomudi Akwakusise Aba Ana Sempono Enyambeduye Medase.
Good morning, Honorable.
Morning.
My name is Atta Mensah from Ghana News Agency. Yes, I have about 3 questions. Yes, the first question, I want to find out how much would it cost the nation to organize the inauguration of the president? Then, any idea of foreign dignitaries who will grace the occasion? Any idea of the foreign dignitaries who will grace the occasion? Then, how would adherence to the COVID-19 protocol be managed at the airport when those, if there are foreign dignitaries coming to grace the occasion? How arrangement have you made in adherence to COVID-19 protocol? Then, in view of the safety protocols regarding COVID-19, I want to find out if you have given a limit, a number of people who are expected in the Parliament House because of it. If you have made any arrangement of the number of people who are expected to be at the Parliament House. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. My name is Joshua Nanakwamera with GH1 TV. My question obviously would have ridden on the corridors of Parliament, but however, the Public Relations Director is here. So on considering the Constitution, of course, the swearing in would be administered by the Chief Justice and before the House of Legislature. We have a faction or a member of the House constituting the minority having stated their decision not to be part of or observe the event or the ceremony. Has there been any conversation between the House, and will that in any way mar the ceremony as far as upholding the democracy that we have across the political divide is concerned? That's my only question I have to ask.
Thank you very much. I'd like to begin from the last question. I think that the concern about the participation of any member of parliament elect in the legitimate duties of parliament is a question for that member of parliament elect to respond to. It is my understanding that the people of Ghana went to the elections to elect members of parliament and imposed on them a responsibility to represent them. It is my hope and prayer that members of parliament elect do well by their constituents, do well by the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and perform the duties that have been imposed on them. Beyond that, I think that the question of attendance upon or otherwise is a matter for the respective members of parliament elect. However, I am advised that the inauguration subcommittee and even parliament is making all the necessary preparations towards the swearing in, and these will cover all members of parliament elect, and we will be ready to receive everybody in Parliament House. Kasapa, my brother from Kasapa, you asked about the handing over notes. In fact, it is rather Upper West and not Upper East and Ahafo. I can confirm to you that even though the handing over notes of Ahafo and the Upper West regions were delayed in transit, the Administrator General has received same and has subsequently made those available to the transition team. So yes, we have received the handing over notes of Ahafo and Upper West. Unfortunately, they were delayed in transit. The Ghana News Agency, the cost of the inauguration, I believe that this is still work in progress. The various committees are working, and I'm sure that they will put their estimates together, and at the right time, the figures will be made public. Again, we will be advised as to the foreign dignitaries that will be attending upon our invitation to celebrate, as it were, with the people of Ghana on our collective gains. And if you remember, we all know that Ghana is the toast of the world. We are the trailblazers as far as multi-party democracy, not only in West Africa, but indeed in the whole of Africa is concerned. Again, we have proven to the world that we have and know what it takes to perfect these democratic experiments that we are engaged in. And many people are expressing their intentions to join us, celebrate once again collectively what we have been able to gain for ourselves. The definite numbers, the names and so on, in due course will be announced to you as well. The numbers we are expecting in Parliament, Parliament will address us on those matters in due course. We have said that we would do the inauguration in a COVID-compliant manner, but I did indicate earlier on that all members of parliament elect will definitely have to be in parliament, but allowance will be made for other categories of persons. In due course, those information will be put out as well. If there are no other questions, are there any other questions? I thank you very much. In the absence of any other questions, I think that we can draw the curtains on this morning's engagement. It was aimed to be a quick and a brief regarding 3 issues: the ban that has been announced by government during this transition period on new management, recruitment of new management personnel, ban on some contractual obligations, both goods and services and works, and also the announcement that the swearing in of the president shall happen before Parliament and within the precincts of Parliament. We thank you for your kind attendance.
And thank you for staying here on the Joy News channel. This is News Desk with me, Bernice Abubedu Lansa. We've got more for you right after these messages.